Hey guys, so you ready for today's October 6, 2021, 9:12 a.m. Central Time. Here in the United States of America, we are at a fork in the road. We are either going to go down crazy ass lane, and I say that very sincerely, not sarcasm, not a joke. It is a scary, crazy ass lane. Or we are going to continue on the path of personal responsibility and somewhat privacy, depending on what you're talking about, because our privacy gets invaded all the fucking time, okay? Personally, I'd rather go down the current path. If you do not know what I'm talking about, you best inform yourself now. I'm going to touch on it, but I'm not going over it. The reason I'm not is because the reconciliation package that was put together basically finalized to a degree in the Senate, okay? The package wasn't voted on, just the package. The framework that Bernie Sanders wrote, okay, had been somewhat agreed to in the Democratic caucus. However, since it was released and things have changed a little bit here and there, the Senate parliamentarians said you can't have this immigration shit in there, so they reworded it so that they can give amnesty to current immigrants that are here by budgetary means. Okay, so they reworded it, so that still has to go through the Senate parliamentarian. She's probably going to approve it at that point, because the original wording really had to do with more allowing people to stay versus budgetary. So they are manipulating the hell out of this package right now. So trying to go over it would be a joke, because there is nothing to show. But if you watch enough hearings, if you watch these people talk on TV, if you watch them talk on Twitter, YouTube, to themselves, whine, posts, individual websites, whatever, okay, whatever. This keeps getting scarier every day. The chances of this passing are actually pretty damn high. The two people in the Senate that are holding this up just simply due to the amount, which is the 3.5 trillion. Follow me here. I'm going to give you quite a bit of information here. But I'll tell you this before I continue. You need to contact your House representatives and your senators. In the description, I will have both these links. The direct links. You don't have to hunt them down. Don't Google, don't Yahoo, nothing. Direct links. You find your person. If you're in Alabama, click on their wonderful link if it's there, and their website will come up. Fucking contact them. If you're so lazy not to click on a link, there is a phone number listed for them on the direct website. Same with senators, okay? Click on Tammy Baldwin. Her website pops up. If you're so lazy you don't want to do it, then you're screwed, because this one doesn't actually have the phone number. So please click on it. Regardless, you need to contact these people and tell them and express to them you reject this idea. The amount of ideas that will be put into this reconciliation will change America forever. This is what they're going to do. This is what they're going to do. So the 3.5 trillion is too much for Sinema, who's from Arizona, and Manchin, who's from West Virginia. They both have said no. Now, Manchin put out a number. He said he's not willing to go past 1.5 trillion. And then the other day he said, well, you know, he's willing to negotiate. That motherfucker's always willing to negotiate, okay? He caves all the time. But he will not cave into this entire package. I know that. He has doubled down over and over and over again, which is something he does not do. He may double down once. He may, change his wording, whatever. But he doesn't do what he has been doing, which is putting out written statements. So these people are going to have to scale this back, and I'm going to tell you exactly how they're going to do it. So it's going to be between 3.5 and 1.5 trillion dollars. Sinema, on the other hand, has not said a word about anything other than she just opposes it. Sanders and the liberal retards in the House, the squad rejects, thinks this reconciliation bill should actually be $6 or $7 trillion. instead of the 3.5, which, by the way, if you actually break down all of this stuff, it comes out to over a period of time of like 10 years or something to be more like 5 or 6 trillion. It's complicated how that gets worked out, and I'm not about to get into it. So the 3.5 really is like $6 trillion. But beside the point, this is what they're going to do. Okay? You're going to think, absolutely, you're going to think this. Okay, they went from 3.5 to 2 trillion. They pulled out a bunch of, stupid projects, ideas, free money, free college for illegal immigrants, free college for the first 2 years for everybody, free rental assistance for this, tree money. They actually allocated, I think it was over billion, maybe millions of dollars to plant trees. It's called equity, tree equity, in order to plant trees in areas that apparently don't have as many and maybe try and make the area look prettier. I don't know. But that is literally part of this reconciliation package and being considered. Tree equity. That's adorable. Getting rebates for buying electric vehicles. And then there's also wonderful things like the IRS forcing your bank to report all purchases. Now, let me say this. What's been reported in the news cycle is this $600 number has been floating around, saying if you've had a $600 transaction going in or out of your bank account, Bank of America, for example, will have to report that transaction directly to the IRS, which in this reconciliation package, they expand the IRS by billions of dollars, hiring thousands of new IRS employees. Okay? Janet Yellen, I believe is how you say her name, that is ahead of the Fed, is actually against this and says banks already have enough on their plate. They don't need to be doing this. This is unnecessary. Meow, 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 meow. That is not stopping this from happening. The reason I said all purchases is simple. Once they get their hands into your bank account for your $600 purchase or your $600 deposit, depending on, which direction it goes, they may very well ask you on your form, what did you do with that money? And someone in the House floated that idea that if the banks report a $600 purchase, let's say for a firearm, you happen to buy, I don't know, something that's, everything's expensive now. I haven't purchased a firearm in a while. All my firearms got fucking taken with aliens or something. Anyway, so I don't know how much firearms run these days, and I build mine anyway. When I used to. Anyway, so beside the point, you buy an AR-15 for $700. That purchase is now being reported to the IRS by Bank of America. So that's interesting, right? Why would they need to know your fucking purchase? That's ridiculous. But say you get a direct deposit from your job, and it's like $700 or something. That $700 deposit, Bank of America is now telling the IRS you got. So it's going in and out. So if they're getting the $700, this is what you were paid for your job, the IRS knows exactly what you were paid, when you were paid, who you were paid by. They may turn around and say, well, what did you spend this on? And they could go deep, dark holes into our lives by this reconciliation package. This is in the reconciliation package right now. Just change the all to 600 and change the purchases to transactions. That is what is in the reconciliation package right now. This is dead serious. This is weird. I don't understand what's happening here, but this is how they're going to do it. This is how they're going to scale it back. So you're saying, logically, they're taking out the tree equity. They're taking out free education for illegal immigrants. They're taking out money to make people legal through amnesty. They're going to take out this, that, blah, 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 and lower the package amount, right? No. This is what they're going to do. in this reconciliation package, for example, and I tweeted this out, and I also put this on Getter as an example, childcare, free childcare, right? Let's say it costs $6 billion for 6 years. That's what they've budgeted it out to. What they're going to do to narrow that number down is simply change the year. So it would be, say, $3 billion for 3 years. So they're lowering the amount equal to the amount they are bringing it back to for it to expire. They are not going to get rid of any of their crazy ass liberal wish list bullshit at all. If anything, they're going to probably add to it, and that's even more frightening. They're just going to scale back the sunset dates, is exactly what that's called. Sunsets, which means expires. And and what's brilliant about this, by the way, is they will make those sunsets happen on important election years. For example, in 2024, we get a new president, right? Get a new Congress in the House, and quite a few Senate seats are up, right? Depending on who gets those positions, White House, if it's a Republican, that president can veto anything that comes out of Congress, and Congress would have to, of course, override that veto to reinitiate all of the programs that will expire in this reconciliation package that will go through, right? Or if it's and this is even worse. Screw the White House. This is even worse. If the Republicans get the House and the Senate, for example, and some of these come up for sunsets and they have to reauthorize them, do you want to be the senator or representative that takes away someone's child care? No, you're not. Once you give something to the public, especially free or money related, it is very difficult to take it back, especially without destroying your political career. Just like they want to extend this child tax credit that people are getting right now that ends in December. They want to extend it further out and also have a sunset. That's how this reconciliation package is going to get scaled down. It will not scale down at all the programs, the type of programs. They won't get rid of this. They won't get rid of that. They're just going to simply say, cut it in half. Instead of 6 years, let's do 3. And since it's 6 years, we needed $6 billion. We're going to only need $3 billion at 3. That's how they're going to scale this back. It's crazy. And I don't know how much of the public realizes that. They probably don't, because logically it'd make more sense to be like, well, we don't need this program. Let's get rid of it. But they think, liberals think we need this stuff to live, to pass, that this is an emergency of some sort. This is an emergency. This will destroy the United States of America. Our economy will tank. It will be crazy, absolutely crazy what is going to happen. The consequences of this is devastating. You need to let your voices be heard. I don't care whether you call, fax, email, tweet these people to death, make their lives miserable somehow, go to their house. Hell, someone followed Cinema into the fucking restroom in Arizona at ASU, which, by the way, is a felony, and I don't see that person getting arrested any day soon. Follow these people while they're out in public. Go to their house and sit outside with a sign saying, you suck. I don't care what you do. This needs to die. If this does not die, the United States of America that you know today will be over. Everything this administration touches goes to shit. Absolute shit. It is it is impressive. It is sincerely impressive how horrible this administration is. I mean, they could it's like he's like a cancer, okay? Everything he touches is just, it's like herpes. He's just spreading it everywhere. Anyway, last thing I'm going to say, because people were wondering on my Patreon account how the debt ceiling is going to be covered, since the Senate rejected the idea of funding the government and raising the debt ceiling because the Republicans are not willing to do it. I'm totally with them for it. By the way, Joe Biden has done that, has voted against raising the debt ceiling over a handful of times, maybe even over a dozen times. Pelosi has voted against raising the debt ceiling in prior pasts. A lot of these people running their mouths, talking trash about the GOP, saying we're gonna default and the Republicans don't care and it's gonna ruin this and this and this, and we've done it in the past. Well, you rejects, you have done it in the past. We've done it many times in the past. In fact, many of you voted no in the past. So shut your mouths. Anyway, the GOP is not willing to raise the debt ceiling, okay? Many people, including, and this is a side note, JP Morgan Chase's CEO said that we should get rid of the debt ceiling because it's a political thing. Well, JP Morgan retard, I realize you own a bank and you deal with a lot of money and numbers and stuff, but do you not see what's happening in Congress right now? Because if they had an unlimited amount of anything they wanted to ever do, our debt would skyrocket faster than it already is. You stupid, stupid man. Which is why they created the debt ceiling. So anyway, so this is what they did. Originally, the House passed a bill that funded the government through December and extended the debt ceiling to December of next year. That was stripped. So the Senate ended up passing a continuing resolution that funded the government through December 3rd, I believe is what it is. And then it passed in the House. So the government is not going to shut down. We will not have that discussion again, and I'll only be talking about it on Patreon, but again, until December, because they have funded the government that way. The debt ceiling has yet to be approved or raised, okay? They have until the 17th, I believe, of October before we, quote, run out of money and we can no longer pay our debt. So this is what they did. I said this on my Patreon account. I'm not going to get into exact details because they had a lot of different options. The Democrats had a lot of different options they could have taken in order to raise the debt ceiling. This seems to be the one they're taking. Okay? I'm not going to get into the other options. This may fail. Who knows? But this is what they did. This is S1301, Promoting Physical Activity for Americans Act. This is cute. This is adorable. Watch. This was introduced April 22nd, 2021. Okay? If you look at the original text that was introduced, it is very similar to what passed the Senate in June. It says passed June 14th, 2021. It was passed by a voice vote. Okay? This is what this bill did. This is funny. To provide for the publication of the Secretary of Health and Human Services of physical activity recommendations for Americans. And then it says here, in general, not later than 31st of 2028, and at least 10 years thereafter, the Secretary of Health and Human Services shall publish a report that provides physical activity recommendations for the people of the United States. Each such report shall contain physical activity information and recommendations for consideration and use by the general public and shall be considered as applicable and appropriate by relevant federal agencies in carrying out relevant federal health programs. And then at the bottom, just so you know, because this actually did pass and this is law, it says limitation, notwithstanding any other provision of this act, no physical fitness standard established under this act shall be binding on any individual as a matter of federal law or regulation. So that's what this was, right? So they passed this. This passed in the House and everything else. What they did, they engrossed it in the Senate the following month. Last month, September 29th, 2021. In the House, in the, I think it was Ways and Means. Let's find out. All actions. I don't care about roll calls. Let's check for fun because I want to know. I want to know. you're just going to have to chill for a second because it was reported by the Rules Committee. So in the Rules Committee, what they did is they created an amendment. They added it to this bill, okay? Because it hasn't been officially signed by the president yet, although it passed. So what does that mean? This amendment was engrossed in the House. It passed the House, I believe. Let's look again. I don't think this has actually had anything happen to it. Yeah, okay. So this passed the House the day the amendment came through. It passed 219 to 212. So it is now in the Senate to be passed. It only needs a 51 vote, obviously including Harris. This will probably pass based on how they did it because it's an amendment. I don't believe this can be filibustered because of that, which is why this is happening this way. I think, regardless, this is what they're doing. Amendment. Strike out after the enacting clause and insert Section 1, temporary extension of public debt limit. This is unbelievable. They did this shit during the Obama administration. Says Section 3101B of Title 31 U.S. Code shall not apply for the period beginning on the date of enactment of this act and ending on December 16th, 2022. What does that mean? It lifts our debt limit. Gone. Doesn't lift it, it's just gone. It's temporarily extended is not the correct term. It is more like suspended is what they should say. Not extension, suspended. It has been suspended until December 16, 2022. So they can spend any amount of money they want from the date this gets enacted to December 16, 2022 without having to have this conversation at all. And it's a special rule relating to obligations issued during the extension period. Effective on December 17, 2022, the limitation in this effect under Section 31BO Title 31 U.S. Code shall be increased to the extent that 1. The face amount of obligations issued under Chapter 31 of such title and face the amount of obligations whose principal and interests are guaranteed by the United States government, except guaranteed obligations by the Secretary of Treasury. I don't even know exactly what that would be. Outstanding on December 17, 2022 exceeds to the face amount of such obligations outstanding on the date of enactment of this act. Extension, and let's see. Extension limited to necessary obligations. As an obligation shall not be taken into account under subsection B1 unless the issuance of such obligation was necessary to fund a commitment incurred pursuant to law by the federal government that required payment before December 17th, 2022. So that's just a lot of technical bullshit saying that shit gets paid until 2022. If it was due before 2022. Anything that would be paid after that, they'd have to deal with the debt limit again. So, it on December 16, 2022, our debt right now is like what? $30 trillion or something ridiculous. Say our debt's, I don't know, $38 trillion by December 15th, 2022. It's going to, on midnight that night, December 16, 2022, cap it right at that amount of $38 trillion. And everything that was passed and funded to that point under federal law will be guaranteed to be paid. Anything beyond that they pass, say, I don't know, November in 2022, that doesn't have to be funded, the program doesn't start or something until, I don't know, March 2023, that program is not necessarily guaranteed now because they're going to have this conversation again on December 16, 2022 or before. Otherwise, we're going to go ahead and default on our obligations. Again, temporary extension. Temporary extension should be temporary suspension of public debt limit. I've spoken enough. I will give you the links to the House of Representatives and the senators. Find them, contact them, tell them you are very well aware that they're scaling back their reconciliation package creatively is not good enough and it must be stopped. This is Are You Ready For It? Take care, guys. Have a great morning.